Hello everybody and welcome back to our WELL AP course. Now so far we have spent a lot of time getting really into the weeds around air quality within WELL certification. But WELL actually has certification. It also has ratings, so the WELL performance rating or the WELL health and safety rating. And so that's what we are going to be talking about today. So let's kick things off with the WELL performance rating. And to start this off, I will pull up the performance rating deck online. And the performance rating it's kind of the essence of WELL, actually, in a way, because WELL is all about measuring the performance of buildings and being performance-based and science-based, not purely prescriptive. And so the performance rating is really taking that to the extreme. It focuses on measuring building performance, so not building design, and it uses sensor data. It also uses on-site tests as the primary methods of verification. It also incorporates occupant experience through surveys, which one could argue is sort of a measure of performance in a way, because you're measuring directly how the occupants feel about it. And then it looks at these to ensure that the building is positively impacting the health and the well-being of occupants, their health, their comfort, their productivity. So the performance rating measures across 7 areas, which you can see here. So you have a number from indoor air quality, water quality, lighting, thermal, acoustic, environmental monitoring, and occupant experience. And unlike WELL V2, the certification, which has both preconditions and optimizations, the performance rating does not have any preconditions. Everything in here is points-based. So every single feature will earn you points. And it's pretty straightforward. There are not, unlike the certification, you don't have a bronze, silver, gold, platinum. It's really either you have the rating or you don't. And to achieve the rating, you need 21 points in total. Indoor air quality is a really big part of that. So we jump in here. You will see probably a lot of these look very familiar. You have PA1, meeting thresholds for particulate matter. And this is essentially a part in the WELL V2. This is a part of A01. Same thing here. We've got thresholds for organic gases, for inorganic gases. So we probably recognize a lot of these from the WELL building standard, WELL V2. It's essentially the same features, but reorganized, and the points are awarded slightly differently. One thing that I think is really worth mentioning here is that theoretically it is possible, if you have the right sensor, which is able to measure all of the parameters that are required here, it is possible to use continuous monitoring to basically tick every box in the indoor air quality category. And then if you fill out, or if you pursue all of the surveys, you can get those 21 points that are required for the performance rating. So that means simply by measuring indoor air quality and carrying out surveys, you can completely pass. Obviously, assuming that you meet the actual thresholds, you can pass the WELL performance rating, which is really interesting. I think that's something that's often overlooked. Again, the thresholds here are pretty straightforward. It's the same as WELL V2. For example, carbon monoxide, ozone, and just like WELL V2, you can meet this or verify it either using performance tests, so on-site testing, or through sensor data, continuous monitors on the walls. Some things in here are a little bit different. For example, ensuring adequate ventilation. In WELL V2, this is something where you can use letters of assurance to state that your building is meeting certain standards or code for sufficient ventilation. Whereas in the performance rating, again, it's focused on the actual measurement of performance, and so the only way to meet this condition here and gain this point is by using sensor data to verify that CO2 thresholds are under 900 ppm. or less than 500 ppm above outdoor levels. So that's something that's really different. And I mean, this is personally, I really love the concept of the performance rating. I think it's absolutely sort of the future of building certifications, which is that we are not focused on how the building was designed, because design is sort of an intermediate step to the thing that actually matters, which is how is the building performing, right? You can have the best designer in the world. If you have an engineer that comes in and builds it all wrong, it doesn't really matter, right? The only thing at the end of the day that truly matters is performance. And design, letters of assurance, these are, in my opinion, sort of stopgap solutions for things where we are currently not yet able to measure performance. So I think this is really interesting, and I look forward to there being more projects like this. Okay, let's talk about the health and safety rating. The health and safety rating, so if the performance rating is around measuring performance, the health and safety rating is more about protocols. And it's about implementing the right protocols, the right procedures to make sure that your building is keeping occupants safe and healthy. So this was launched in 2020 in response to COVID, and the whole world was kind of wondering, what do we do? Like, we have these buildings, what do we need to do in them? What policies should we be making? What protocols, what procedures should we have in order to make sure that our occupants are safe? And this is really sort of a guideline and a set of steps to help make sure that the right things are being done. So if we pull out the side menu here, you will see there are 5 key areas. There's 20 features that are across them. So we have cleaning and sanitation procedures, emergency preparedness programs, health service resources, air and water quality management, stakeholder engagement and communication. So similar to the performance rating, you don't have preconditions, you don't have sort of optimization features. These all contribute towards points, and you need 15 points to get the health and safety rating. So if we look at the air and water quality, just as a for comparison, things like assess ventilation. With a qualified engineer provides the project with an assessment of the following: the extent to which current mechanical systems can operate without recirculating air. So it's really interesting. You can already see this is very different from the performance rating. What the performance rating looks like is what is the exact level of CO2 in parts per million. What this looks like is an assessment of the building to say, is it able to bring in outdoor air without recirculating? And this is verified not through sensor data, but through professional narrative. So very, very, very different. Monitoring air and water quality. So this is one for which you can get points. And again, remember that the health and safety rating is not like the certification where you have preconditions, right? This is one of many points that you could go for. So definitely not all projects going for HSR are going to be doing these things. But if you're monitoring air quality, there's ozone, carbon monoxide, particulate matter, and TVOC, or formaldehyde. And it's verified by an ongoing data report. So all of this is a little bit different to the performance rating. Okay, so let's jump back over here and do a quick comparison. So you can see that WELL certification, or WELL V2, is very different from the two ratings. The ratings are definitely sort of well light, for lack of a better term. Right, they are easier to implement. There is lower lift. You can see there's 24 preconditions for WELL V2. Versus the entire performance rating being 21 points. And you need to, for a WELL certification, it's really covering the kind of entire spectrum of aspects of a healthy building, right? within thermal comfort, light, acoustics, air, each of those has preconditions. Whereas performance rating, you could focus almost exclusively on air quality or just air and water, and that would be enough for the performance rating. The health and safety rating is generally the easiest WELL rating to achieve. It is very much kind of protocol and procedure based, as opposed to performance rating, where people are actually going to have to come on site. You're going to have to install monitors potentially, and of course, it's much lower lift than WELL V2. However, what we often see is clients starting with one of these, so maybe going with health and safety rating, and then from there moving to the full certification, maybe a couple years down the road. And so this is something which I think is really important. If you're advising a client, a WELL project that is going on this sort of trajectory, starting with HSR or starting with performance rating and then moving towards the full certification, it's really helpful to compare these side by side and to make sure that you line up the overlapping points in the right way. For example, air quality is a great example of this. In the health and safety rating, if you go after the air quality monitoring point, for that you will be required to measure CO, O3, PM, TVOC. Now, if you do these things and you go after these points within the HSR, that is going to allow you to automatically meet a precondition, which is A01 in the WELL V2 building certification. So thinking about the long-term goals can help make the right decisions today. What you don't want to find yourself doing is not meeting those points on HSR and then having to do it later anyway for your WELL V2 A01 precondition. Okay, so that's it for this episode. Hopefully you found this helpful. Hopefully you have a better understanding of the differences between WELL certification, that's V2, the performance rating, health and safety rating, and how air quality is similar but has some very key differences in each of these. If there's anything else that you want to learn more about when it comes to WELL and how air quality fits into the WELL building standard, send me a message, leave a message in the comments, and I will be happy to provide more content all around this.